Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's Holy Sabbath Day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. If you guys are paying attention to the things that is going on in the news, you'll see that America is starting to take steps backwards. But we always knew that it was a temporary peaceful structure concerning this so-called African American here in this country. Everything that we have been subjected to has always been through some kind of policy. Not too long ago, I want to say it was maybe about 6 or 7 months ago, whether you knew it or not, or whether you felt it, all of a sudden they made a new policy with insurance, and everybody's insurance went up. And people tried to call, and basically they used that zip code and say, okay, there's a certain amount of crime that happens in this area, so for that reason we'll increase your insurance premium. They do the same thing with credit. They say, okay, well, your credit is such and such, so because of that we're gonna charge you more for these services. When the truth is, when you learn and end up dealing with businesses, you'll find that businesses never pay their bills on time. It is part of business not to pay the people that they owe, and you don't know that until you go into business for yourself, and you start seeing some things, and you'll see that they wait, and you have to be high up in the business even to understand what's going on. The regular people will not be aware that that's going on, but people who are close up to where those finances are held, businesses will let their stuff go delinquent for 3 months and then pay it. This is normal for them. Why? Because they're using it as investment capital. Every week taxes are taken out of our check, but what you don't know is 3 months before they got to pay that. So what you think they're doing with that money? They're taking that money and holding it, using that as their business working capital, and they only have to turn it into the government on a quarterly basis. But they take it from you before you ever get it. So these policies is what has been used to keep us in the place where they want us to be. And when we put all of these things together, we find out that it is just not a coincidence. If you go to a business and you're trying to do something, if you notice, they'll tell you and they'll look you straight in the face because they've been instructed to. Well, I'm sorry, sir or ma'am, it's just our policy. Whenever it is you're trying to do something and they're trying to deny you, listen to them. They will look you straight in the face and say, well, it's not, any racism or discrimination. It's just our policy. So they hide behind the policy, and they have learned that from the United States of America. They hide behind that policy and use the policy as the reason for the things that they do. But brother, would you read the oracles and entreat the angel that stands at the door, that he may come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may make this a holy convocation by the angel's presence.
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, we're going to begin today's sermon in John chapter 15. John chapter 15 and verses 18 through 21. John chapter 15 and verses 18 through 21. And today's sermon is entitled Democracy and the Policy of Discrimination. Democracy and the Policy of Discrimination. See, a lot of us are not aware. We actually believe the things that we've heard, that there's supposed to be a separation between church and state. But while we haven't learned the truth in the level that we hear it once we get into this word, we haven't heard that because there's not a separation between church and state. The church and the state is so connected. To get that 501c3 status, you basically sign a contract with the IRS, and with that contract, you then agree not to that you will not teach anything that goes against whatever governmental standard is set forth. So if your Bible says one thing about same-sex marriage, but the government says something different, because you are 501c3, you are not allowed to speak against that. If they want one of their representatives to come and vote, then you have to open up your church doors and let these people come and stand before your congregation and offer their twisted spiel. I remember being in the church when Bill Campbell came through and spoke. Of course, you know the church was looking crazy when he went to jail. But they couldn't deny those people. See, half the buildings, as they have all of these building fund and an offering for this and offering for that, but they were getting government grants to build those buildings. That's the part that they were not sharing with the people. And once you get a government grant, you have to understand that there are stipulations that you have to abide by. And the deeper that offering bucket gets, the more under the control of the government they are. John chapter 15, and let's start that at verse 18.
If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love his own.
But you think back, when you first start to hear about this word, and you started talking to, because it's customary, this is what we do. We hear the word, and then we want to go tell everybody in our family. How crazy did they start looking at you? You start telling your friends you wasn't going to the club no more. You start telling them you wasn't going to be there for ladies' night because it was, you know, that's beginning the Sabbath. We can't do that. Wait, what? What kind of God don't want you to enjoy ladies' night? Right. If the world hate you, know that it hated him first. If you were of the world, they would love you. I had way more friends when I did foul things. Way more friends. I got invited to the party when they was in the planning stages of the party. The party wasn't even developed yet. I was already invited. Now, I'm the last cat invited to the party. Right. Go ahead.
But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hates you.
I have chosen you out of the world. Therefore the world hates you. Understand now, the world may be some of your best friends. The world may be some of your closest relatives. The question is, are you willing to deal with that line? See, the disciples asked that question to the Messiah. What should we have all that have forsaken these things? Houses, wives, and children for your name's sake. Because everybody didn't agree when they took their turn, and everybody not going to agree when you take yours. So the question is, are you still going to take it? Or are you going to let somebody talk you out of making that turn? Go ahead.
Verse 20. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his master. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. They know not him that sent me. Now, everybody claims they know him, but when it comes down to it, you'll find that they do not know him when it comes down to their deeds. See, it's a lot of lip service when it comes down to glorifying the Elohim of heaven. Let's go to chapter 16 and read verses 1 through 4. John in chapter 16 and verse 1. These things have I spoken unto you, that you should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yes, the time comes that whosoever kills you will think that they do Elohim a service. Right. They think they doing God a favor when they shoot us dead in the middle of the street. Why? Because policy has permitted it. The KKK have taken off the hoods and they put on police uniform. Well, you have to consider, if your ultimate goal of your organization is to slow down the advancement of any people of color, where better to be than in a police uniform? Because not only are you going to be exonerated for everything that you do, you get a paid vacation for every last one of us you kill. That's what administrative paid leave is. It's a long term for vacation. Do you have to work? No. Do you still get a check? Yes. That's vacation. Now you think about what it says to you if you were at a job and they said, look, we got to carry all these boxes from the warehouse to the front. Now don't mess with none of these, don't damage these boxes. But if you drop one of these boxes and the box busts, we're gonna put you on paid administrative leave. What? wait a minute. So I ain't supposed to do it now. So I'm wrong. But if I just so happen to drop this box and the box busts, I got to go home with my check? Yeah. I'm busting a box every week, check. They gonna have a stand of just box. Now them sock boxes right there, right now. Why? Cause he gonna bust them. Why? Cause he not gonna work this week. That's encouraging it. See? And they encourage it through policy. But if you don't know how to pay attention to the policy, you won't hear the game. When President Bush was first elected, he hurried up and pushed this bill, knowing that they were about to restructure the whole economy. He passed this bill saying that you can take out of your 401k to donate to a nonprofit organization. Now, for those who don't know how to hear game and read in between the policy line, you didn't hear what he did. What he did was he gave them an opportunity to liquidate all their 401ks before the economy tanked. Because see, all of them got nonprofit organizations. So, kids got a nonprofit. If I got a nonprofit, I take out of my 401k, give to him. He take out of his 401k, give to me. What have we just done? Without tax penalty. Understand, tax penalty like 35-40%. Without tax penalty, we have both just liquidated our 401ks.
That's what President Bush did before they start doing all of the stuff with the income. So they didn't suffer like us. There are people that lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on their 401k. Not them people. Because they knew how to read in between policy. When they heard the policy, they automatically know. They know how America operates. America operates through policy. When they heard it, they automatically knew it's game time. And they liquidated all their funds. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Yohanan chapter 16 and verse 3. And these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, you may remember that I told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you.
All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7, and let's read verses 12 through 29.
Verse 12. Therefore all things whatsoever you would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets.
It is the law and the prophets where you're going to find how you're supposed to deal with your brother. But what ends up happening is people think that it is just this good thing in your own heart that tells you how to deal with your brother or your sister. No, it's not. Every man's heart operates according to how they were raised. People who are in a drug-infested neighborhood don't have any remorse about selling drugs. Why? Because it has been normalized to them in every part of where they grew up. So then that person's heart has something totally different than the next person who wasn't raised in that environment. So if we all let our hearts direct us, everybody gonna be going in different directions based upon where we were raised and the things that were normal according to that upbringing. So instead of going along with your own heart, we have instructions that was given unto us. See, therefore all things whatsoever you would that men should do to you, do you even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. The Messiah still direct you back to Moshe so that you will understand what thus says Yahweh through the mouth of Moses, not through the imagination of your own heart. Go ahead.
Enter you in at the strait gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leads on to life, and few there be that find it.
Right, but everything we hear is everybody that die goes zip-tang into heaven. Yet we have been told, now this is the Messiah, this is the Messiah talking. That's what these words in red are. He says, few there be that find it. Yet we keep hearing preachers say everybody die in heaven. Oh, they looking down upon us. How's that possible then? So either you lying or Christ lying. Somebody lying. And I'm going to have to believe that Christ telling the truth. Go ahead.
Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
Right. But see, we get wooed by them three-piece suits. We get wooed by the nice car in the parking lot. We get wooed by that. See? So it looks one way, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. But that's the stuff we like. Go ahead.
You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so every good tree brings forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree brings forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that brings not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire.
Right. So no matter what they think, if the teaching is off, all of the fruit that come from that teaching is going to be off. And that's something that people don't want to deal with. But if your pastor is teaching you that the Sabbath is done away with, you don't have to deal with it, there's going to be something with the fruit that come from that teaching. If they're teaching you that, you don't have to worry about the Big Ten no more. Don't worry about the commandment. There's going to be something off with all the fruit that come from that. Because people are going to start operating that way. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Wherefore by their fruits you shall know them. Not everyone that says unto me, Adonai, Adonai, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Kingdom of heaven, not kingdom in heaven. Go ahead.
But he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven.
If you want to understand the will of his Father who is in heaven, not of, in one line we see of heaven, the next line in heaven, he was very clear about what his will was. Go ahead.
Many will say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in your name, and in your name have cast out devils, and in your name done many wonderful works?
Now, this is Christ saying that this is what all of these people are going to say. So they really believe that their doctrine was the accurate one. But do understand that Lucifer is a master counterfeiter. So they believe all the way up into the time that the Mashiach shows up, that they in the right. You can talk to people about this word and you can show them line by line, but they can't hear you. They believe all the way to the end that they're the ones standing in the right and you're wrong. So they're going to maintain that thought process all the way to judgment. Go ahead.
And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity.
Iniquity is lawlessness. You that work lawlessness, depart from me, and I never knew you. Not I knew you at some time. I never knew you. These might be people that have been going to church for 30, 40 years. And he gonna already know when they come up to him that they don't know him. Because he not understanding that the translators change words. And they put this Lord in the place of three different words. All capital L-O-R-D was Yahweh. One capital L-O-R-D referred to Yahshua. All lowercase L-O-R-D meant Adonai or master. So he gonna know they don't know him when they walk up to my Lord. Lord, they got the right thing right here. Lord, come on, Lord. Come on, Lord. Man, get away from me, man. I ain't never known you. Go ahead, brother. You finish that?
Therefore, whosoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And everyone that hears these sayings of mine, and does them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it.
So the question is, how are you building your house? Are you building your house on a lot of hearsay or a lot of fantabulous words that you might hear on Sunday morning, but not understanding any of what those things mean? It started to be funny to me when I started to learn something, and people would come and tell me how great their preacher preached the other day. He said, "Oh man, he did a wonderful sermon." I said, "Oh yeah, what was it about?" It was wonderful. All right, well, we got past the wonderful part. All right, Mr. Wonderful, he Pastor Wonderful. All right, so what did Pastor Wonderful say? Well, he was, and then that's why, because. Well, he said, you can't tell me nothing. He said, right, because there wasn't no substance in it. See, a whole bunch of vain gainsaying when you try to back up the vain gainsaying. Tell me something. Then tell me where it come from. One thing I did notice, it was he said this, he said that. Oh yeah, where you get it from? Well, I mean, he must have got it out of the Bible. What you mean he must have got it out of the Bible? Did y'all read it out of the Bible? Or he just told you he got it from the Bible? See, so when it comes down to this, that's why we do this reading. So when you got to stand and answer, you won't be going to Yahshua talking about what Esaac said. No. I read this. Now I explained some things along the reading, but we read this. Go ahead.
Verse 28. And it came to pass, when Yahshua had ended these sayings, the people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes.
Right, and that's what really causes some problems to people when you're teaching, having some authority. Now, when you get and consider this thing that they who kill you will believe that they have done Elohim a service. Brother, read the next note that you got there.
I done jumped out the way here.
Where you at?
Matthew. Oh.
No, right there.
Missouri governor has signed a bill stating that before you can sue someone for discrimination, you have to prove that it was their intent to discriminate against you. Intent is one of the hardest things to prove, especially since people don't write down what or why they intended to do things. So if it is not written down, how can you prove what their intent was?
In other words, they are legalizing discrimination. Learn how to speak policy. The NAACP has offered a travel warning to Missouri. They offer travel warnings to strange countries. They tell people, look, don't go to Turkey. They got some stuff going on. They're telling you not to go to Missouri. And all you had to have was this is the thing that Trump, you know, this was their boy. Because he said the things with all of these years that people talking about, let's get along. Soon as somebody get in there and start saying certain things, you see how it aggravates all the quiet racists who were sitting there. See, at Trump rallies, he was telling people, punch that person, all them protesters. He said it was a joke. He told them, when you throw a person in a paddy wagon, don't be so nice. And all the police behind him laughing. He said, don't worry about what happened to their head when you put them in the car. Just let their head slam up against the door. So why are you protecting them? Now, if this is the leader of the country, and this is what he says at a police gathering, there's 50-something police standing behind him as he make the statement, and who knows how many more on the other side. And of course, it's broadcasted. So this mindset is being pushed. And here it is. We were taught, hey, go to school, get a good job, and ain't nothing gonna happen to you. Hey, educated people, kids get shot too. Books don't protect you from bullets. When this is what's being told to people. This is what's being told to the police. In other words, this is our policy against these people. Now, we got two documentaries. One is dealing with well, things that we're going to play afterward. Is one of them is the slavery by another name, and then the other one is dealing with the founding fathers and how they were trying to write certain things around the slavery issue. So you understand that from the get-go they automatically knew that they were going to turn us into criminals, because that's the only way that they can legally, according to policy, take away your freedom. So they say, all right, you're free from slavery unless you got a charge. And then they charge us for any and everything. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7, and let's read verses 15 through 23.
Verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth.
So we're dealing with governments then. All right? Go ahead.
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
Do understand that the people who are in the land now were given that land by America and Great Britain. And it has caused absolutely nothing but unrest in what they have called the Middle East, because they say that these people suffered in Germany. So we're going to come all this way over here, and we're going to give them some land here. Well, if they suffered in Germany, that way you're supposed to give them land that in Germany. That during World War II, they locked up the Asians because they were scared that the Asians would join with the adversary and fight with them. So they threw those people in concentration camps. What did they do? They turned around and paid them people for that. That's why you got a nail salon on every corner. That's why all these people own businesses in your neighborhood. But you notice they didn't go and do them wrong here and then tell, all right, Cuba, we're going to give them some land in your land. Why they didn't do that to everybody else? See, you got to learn how to just weigh the stuff to see how ignorant it is. The lie made no sense that you're going to go through something here, but we're going to go and take some other land and give to you because of what you suffered in this land here. It makes no sense. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet.
Now, what we have to understand is, right here, even Daniel being who he was, he says these great beasts which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. Verse 19 says, then I would know the truth of the fourth beast. He won't know about the last one. See, a lot of times we want to know about a whole bunch of stuff that don't mean a hill of beans. Ain't none of us getting free in between any of that. See, folks be wondering, hey, look, how about this? What difference do it make? You ain't going to get free. See, the prophet of Yahweh, yeah. Tell me about this fourth one right here. Yeah. When we get out from up under this. First thing you want to know when you begin to be a captive, when I get to get out of here. What's my release date? I don't need to know about every day in between. I need to know my release date. Go ahead.
And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And
we find that Alexander the Great conquered the earth faster than anybody else. After that, everything was split among his generals, and you find this whole system of Babylon is the same Euro-Gentiles fighting one another over the rulership of the same stuff. So when you talk about somebody putting these German people in the land as Israel, do you understand? You're talking about the same people that went in there and invaded it in 70 AD. And killed over 1.2 million Jews and sold the rest to work in the salt mines of Africa. So they knew exactly what they were doing. When they went to go and send those slave ships, they knew exactly who they were going to go get. They said these people know how to be servants because this is what they were born for. And that is true. But you were born to serve Yahweh. Part of your punishment if you don't serve Yahweh, then you have to serve other people. So if you don't like serving other people, how about learn how to serve Yahweh? Go ahead.
Verse 21. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom.
And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So then there is a time factor that's built into this. When you read in Romans, it says blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. They have to finish serving out their rule. It's hard for people to even imagine before the Euro-Gentile rule, the Africans ruled the earth. What do you think them pyramids was up? They still can't figure out how they put them together. It is documented in their own history books. They ruled. We read in the beginning of this book, and it starts telling you. You backtrack through who Cush is Ethiopia. You look back, you find all of this rulership going on in Africa. They had that chance. The Euro-Gentiles having theirs now. Our turn coming. But how you gonna rule? What you think, according to what you think, feel, and believe? That's gonna be a short rule. Go ahead.
Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
Right. And what people don't understand is who the saints of the Most High truly are. But this is also how Yahweh judges the hearts of men. See, you have all of these organizations that are put together. The Christian Fellowship for the Jews. All of the people are sending all of this money back to the Jewish people, not understanding that the whole time they are mistreating the saints of the Most High. But see, that's what you end up having. You have some people who will always be the friend of who's ever in charge. They really don't have a direction in their heart. This is why the Bible says, be careful, for some of you have entertained angels unawares. So if you don't know what an angel look like, because he sure ain't some winged entity, he gonna look like a regular man. How did you treat that regular man when you encountered it? And what excuse will possibly work upon the day of your judgment? What excuse can you give the creator of all things for your disrespect to an angel of Yahweh? Go ahead.
And think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end.
Right, and we know that upon this Euro-Gentile rule, the Sabbath was changed from Saturday to Sunday, and Emperor Constantine solidified that. So we can actually find that in the history books where these things were changed. So they sought to change times and laws. They have a totally different setup that the Euro-Gentiles have given us. So the whole setup of church, of what we think it is not what it was set up to be once control of those things were taken. Go ahead.
And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him.
All dominion shall serve and obey him. Alright, so the saints of the Most High do not get their opportunity to rule until after the Euro-Gentile rule is over. That then should bring about an automatic question to you. How are there Jews in the land ruling if the Euro-Gentiles are still in rulership? See, when you learn how to speak policy, certain things start sticking out to you. Wait a minute now. It ain't possible for them to have their own country, be in charge of armies, and the Euro Gentiles are still ruling. How wait a minute. So did the Bible lie? No. Man lie. Read that next note, bro.
After Black Wall Street was burnt down, Oklahoma passed that law that said you cannot rebuild burnt property. So jealous white America came and burnt the neighborhoods and businesses of wealthy black people.
Wealthy black people. I always have to remind people that when the race riots start, they don't come to poor neighborhoods and burn their stuff. The stuff they have to get rid of are the elite. So all of us who say, well, you go to school and get a good job, then that's going to protect you. These were business owners who had their banks, doctors, lawyers. These were all educated people. They burned it to the ground. When the race riots happened on Auburn Avenue, downtown Atlanta, those were all wealthy black people. The first millionaire in Atlanta, Alonzo Herndon, almost got killed in them race riots. He owned a barbershop and left right before they got to his barbershop. The shoe shine man got killed. Now, if you can kill a millionaire before he become a millionaire, what does that do? What does that do to the economy of your people? It was said something like in Black Wall Street, because white America wouldn't let them buy and do certain things, the dollar might have circulated about 15 to 18 times before it left the neighborhood. They say, oh, no. They got to go. And the same story was told. The same story that's been told all across America. A black man did something to a white woman. They had burnt down whole neighborhoods. In Forsyth County, you got $1 million houses up there. It was black people on that land. They came up with the same lie. Somebody did something to a white woman. They end up killing a whole bunch of people, burning down everything, and ran every black person out of town. Now, they claim one person did something, yet they ran every black person out of town and took their property. And if you go back far enough in their logs of property in their county, they will have, there's a big gray area of where the land changed hands. You see where the black people own the land in Forsyth County? This is the same place where Oprah and all those people marched years back. They can show on the books where black people own the property. There's no listing of the black people selling it, and then all of a sudden a white person has the deed to the land. So they make policy fit them. That's like you showing up with a title to somebody else's car, but you don't have a bill of sale as to how you got that title. But somehow they wasn't questioned about that. Go ahead.
Then passed a law to make sure they couldn't build it again. The same thing happened to countless other cities in America who dared to prosper above their former slave masters.
Now, Whoopi Goldberg, who's on The View, responded to the Missouri law by saying, this is our country and we are not leaving. Our people don't believe that any of this stuff. See, the problem with success is it sets you up for a drastic fall. The person, and you can see this with any team. When we watch football, you watch the team who's like 15-0, and I'm talking about big muscle-bound brothers, got muscles in their ears. I mean, these brothers is ripped up. That one loss after they done won 15 games, you see the big manliest dudes on the sideline. I mean, they had it, Jack. They crying, they laying on each other. Y'all just lost one game. Now, what was the problem? What set them up? Success. It never does occur to us that success sets you up for a really hard fall or failure. If you don't know what a loss feel like, the people who were better off were the ones who took their loss early. They went on and got their bad feelings out the way. They went on and got those things together. So if they lost again, it didn't completely break their spirit. See, there's certain losses that you've had to take in life that you might not have wanted to take. But do understand, they made you stronger to be able to walk this walk. Because if you don't take any loss, if you don't fall, when you fall way on down the line, ooh, you gonna need therapy just to get back up. That's a problem. So you mad about the falls and the things that you go through along the way. Those things are part of the walk. Those things are part of the strengthening regimen that you got to go through. I know you don't like it. Nobody likes a fall. Nobody likes to take a loss. But as long as you don't lose the final game, it don't matter. See, 15-0 don't mean nothing if you lose the last game. Nobody cares that the team was 8-7 if they won the Super Bowl. Who cares? Your record means nothing. If you don't get the crown, all the rest of the stuff does not matter. So instead of worrying about what your record is, worry about whether or not you're going to finish this walk. Let's go to Exodus chapter 1. The race is not given to the swift. The race is given to those that finish the race. And when you talk about if you do some research on the thing of Black Wall Street, you'll find that regular people were allowed to get in airplanes and drop barrel bombs on neighborhoods. That's how they burn the whole thing down to the ground. A barrel bomb is just indiscriminate. Once they hit the ground and start, fire go in all directions. So they're bombing neighborhoods, regular people. Then they passed a law saying, no, you can't rebuild it, which means what? They got no insurance payment for any of the things that happen. Now consider, insurance premium is higher in your neighborhood. Yet, they turned around and passed a law that prevented payout policy. Understand, this is how all of this works. Even today, if you can't pay your insurance, if you don't pay it and insurance cancel it, they take your license. Once again, now they've forced their product on you. So if you, and do understand, if the insurance company get mad at you, because there's some people who have switched insurance companies and they went from one insurance company to another, and the insurance company got ticked off, or the person you talked to got ticked off, and they put in that it was canceled due to non-payment, you have no idea, but your license suspended. And you driving on suspended license. You liable to go to jail at a normal traffic stop. And here it is, man, I got insurance. I have my license. Yeah, and they're going to tell you, explain it to the judge. And not only are you going to go to jail, but your car going to jail too. They call that impound, and they charge you by the day at the impound. So you got to pay for you to get out, pay for the car to get out, and the whole time you're innocent. But this was a law and a policy that was passed, that if you don't pay your insurance, they have the right to revoke your license. And we know that people make clerical errors all the time. And that's what they're going to blame it on when they take your license, even though you paid. They just claim that it was a clerical error. Exodus chapter 1, and let's read verses 8 through 16.
Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Right. So the first thing we see, there was peace in the land of Egypt with the children of Israel. They were able to live side by side without a problem. Now there's another king. What? There's another president. We have one operating procedure under one president. Another president gets here and there's another operating procedure. Hey, we're living through that now. Go ahead.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that, When there falls out any war, they join also onto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
Right. We can already see the same mindset is what happened to the Asians during World War II. This same people will say, well, America's too strong to have this mindset. This is why they locked them up. This is why they put the Asians in concentration camps right there. They said these people may join with our enemies and come against us. So they threw them in concentration camps. So you understand. They said, let us deal wisely with these people, lest they multiply. Now you understand why the weight is so heavy on black men. So they'll let the black woman get through. They have a better chance at controlling the black woman. The black man has all the weight on him, lest they multiply. So the whole thing is about cutting down our numbers to make sure that we are a minority. This is why they constantly redraw the district lines. They just had a election not too long ago, and people went to vote who wasn't even in the district. They redraw the district lines so much that the people got confused. People on one side of the street in the district, people on the other side of the street not. Why they keep redrawing them? So they can make sure that you're a minority in every last one of them. See, too many of you are over here. So draw the line right in between. You just cut half of them out. Put half of them in another district, the other half in this district, where now instead of being a majority here, you're now a minority in two. So it'll never be enough of you to make a decision. And we keep furthering it by moving into other neighborhoods. We helping the problem. Go ahead.
You know, part of the issue is when you've got policies that is in place, just like they said, a new king came who knew not Yosef. You got people in here who don't know their own past and their own history, just like we're learning ours now. They were talking about this policy with Trump stating that no immigrants can't come in unless they know English. So you've got people who are going back and saying, well, your grandfather wouldn't be able to come in the country if that has always been the policy because he didn't know English when he came here.
Oh, we got an immigration part on here. Just keep reading. We're going to get to some stuff today. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses.
Right. Our people went through the same thing then that they're going through now. Having to build all of these things for other people. If we have to bring some more seats in here, y'all can bring some more seats. Go ahead.
Verse 12.
I tell you what, why don't you let him sit over there where Nehemiah is so he can sit next to his people. Come on, little man. Go back there, Nehemiah. Come here. Go ahead, little man. No, go sit right where he was so you can sit next to you folks. Ain't scared coming in a new place. Y'all done threw the man up in the front. You know what I'm talking about? They ain't got no love, right? Man, you gonna put a little man all up in the front like, where my mama at? You know? Man, come on, bro. Come on now. Go ahead, man.
Exodus chapter 1 and verse 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied.
The more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. So they figured out, hey, even when we work these people to death, it don't make their numbers go down. So we got to do something else to cut down their ability to multiply. See, you don't find us having problems normally having kids. You know, you don't find us normally taking fertility drugs. We trying to take drugs to try not to have kids. You know, we're like, hey, it's too many of these. You're not finding us having that problem. Other people are not able to multiply like that. See? So to keep you a minority, some things have to be put in place to make sure that you're not able to continue to multiply. Go ahead.
And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives.
Now, it says all the service that they had to serve was with rigor. Look at all the difficult jobs that happen in this country and find out if we're not the ones that's doing it. When you go on those jobs, you'll find supervisors of one nationality and all the workers of another nationality. Find the hardest part of the job. That's where we at. Because first of all, everybody can't do what we do. We just watched the documentary. We gonna watch this. I just taped it, where they were going through the things of convict leasing, and normally it was us. And they just put any kind of crime on you. Say you did anything, they can throw you in jail and work you. Well, they did it to a white guy. He died in there. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it. All the black people looking at him. What happened to him? We got beat just like you got beat. What are you dying for? Right. Everybody can't handle the weight that is put on us. Why you think they wanted us? Go ahead.
Verse 15. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah.
Now understand, now they got to talk to the Hebrew midwives, the women, concerning what's going to happen with these children. Go ahead.
And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
So understand the American policy. Why they're completely after the male. The same thing is in the beginning of the book. They're going to absorb the women in the culture. All right? They're not as worried about the women. They have a better chance at controlling the women. It's the men that they want to kill. And that same thing that is in the beginning of this book that our people had to endure, we're still enduring that same thing now. But you also see something about how culture is done. It says, when you see these women about to deliver, then do this to the child. Do notice that there wasn't no man present when the women are having babies. That ain't no place for a man. Men didn't deliver babies, women did. We don't consider the foul setup that they have now, where a man is standing in between a man's wife waiting for the baby to come out. That's supposed to be a woman doing it. And we got some man standing in there. And if you try to do it today, they'll try to tell you, well, look, we got man doctors. Couple brothers in here done had to run the man out. Look here. He gonna leave up out of here. And let me tell you something. When you make it happen, it will happen. They tried to tell me one time, well, we got one man doctor and we don't know if he gonna be on duty. I said, I can tell you he gonna be off that day. I can tell you. I can promise that. I can promise you that he gonna be off that day. Well, sir, how you know? Trust me. He gonna be off that day. And he was off that day. Right. I gave him off. So you consider these things and how, even though we are amongst these people, they never still accepted us as being a part of their country. So then consider what happened unto us in New Orleans. All it took was a storm, and they then called us refugees. Understand what a refugee is. A refugee is a person without a country. So all it took was a little water, and now we are without a country. If that's all it takes, they never considered you a part of this country anyway. They got refugees. These people coming from Turkey. These people coming from war-torn places in all over the world. Those people are refugees. Yet you got people who were born, raised here, that don't know any other place, and because of some water, now they're called refugees. See, the part of policy that you have to learn how to listen to is the wordage. Even within the things that happened in Katrina, the white people who had to survive and they got a boat, they said they commandeered it. When the black people got a boat, they looted it. See, you got to learn that now the definition of them things still mean the same thing. Somebody took something that wasn't there. At the end of the day, was the boat yours? No, it wasn't. All right. So if it was a white dude, he commandeered it. If it was a black dude, He stole it. You see, the wordage automatically makes one of them a criminal and the other one not, even though they did the same thing. Watch Channel 5 when you want to get pissed off. Watch how they zoom in on the faces of all the black people who do any crime. It looked like the dude doing this. And they zoom all the way. They zoomed in to a couple of, the other day, that the dude his forehead was all you can see was his eyebrow. They kept zooming in. I'm like, his face ain't even on the TV no more. I got 55 inches. Where his head go? So I got 55 inches of black face. You know how big the face is if all you can see is from the eyebrows to the chin? They kept zooming in. To make you understand that he is a threat. To make you feel like whenever you see anybody that look like this, they're a threat. And all of them look like you. That's a problem. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy chapter 28, and let's read verses 1 through 14.
Verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command you this day, that Yahweh your Elohim will set you on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on you, and overtake you, if you shall hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field.
Now these are the blessings that everybody want to deal with. But do understand, you got what, 64 verses in here, 68. Now, only 14 of them are about the blessings. But this is all everybody want to talk about: blessing, blessing, blessing. After them blessings, and nothing but curses. But nobody wants to discuss that part of it. Go ahead.
Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, the increase of your kind, the flocks of your sheep. Blessed shall be your basket and your store.
So here go your finances right here. Blessed shall be your basket and your store. This is your finances. How many times we have turned on and heard some televangelist and the whole sermon is about money. The entire thing is how God gonna bless your money. Oh, he gonna God in your money. This is the whole, and you can flip from channel to channel, and it's the same thing, right? They're trying to deal with those curses without dealing with them. See, because you're supposed to be blessed in your basket and your store if you do what you're supposed to do. But here it is, the same person, the same teachers are teaching that you don't have to keep any commandments. These are conditional blessings. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. Yahweh shall cause your enemies that rise up against you to be smitten before your face. They shall come out against you one way, and flee before you 7 ways. Yahweh shall command the blessing upon you in your storehouses, and in all that you set your hand unto. And he shall bless you in the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you.
Right. And this is, I always tell people, be careful how you hear what you hear. This is where a lot of the brothers who are teaching kind of get off track. They're ready to blame the people who Yahweh used to deal with us, and not dealing with the fact that we didn't walk in the culture that was given unto us. That's like being mad at the belt because you got a whip. The belt didn't just jump up and hit you. Now that belt was in your mama's hand. Your mama whipped you. Okay? Now instead of being mad at the belt and then being mad at your mama, what was that you did that caused your mama to pick up the belt? See, we like to just pick one. But that belt, if I get this belt out of this house, I'm gonna be straight. No, the belt is not the problem, man. So this is why you got the brothers walking around. Well, see, you see, brother, the white man. No, brother, the white man didn't do none of this to you. He never could have touched you. Yahweh had protection over you. You removed the hedge where anybody could get to you. Now, how he keeping you in that position? Because he making sure you don't learn who you are. That's how he keeping you there. And because you won't walk in your culture, that's where your protection was. So now he needs for you at this point to stay where you are, because you are walking outside of the hedge. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 9. Yahweh shall establish you an holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto you, if you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim.
If, the biggest part in any contract, if. See, all the people who are always talking about blessings, they never mention walking in these commandments. Go ahead.
And walk in his ways. And
His ways is his culture. See? Everybody want to talk about blessings, his commandments, and his ways. He has a way, he has a culture. So if you getting all these blessings, but you're not doing any of that stuff, you got to consider where that stuff come from. Go ahead.
And all the people of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of Yahweh, and they shall be afraid of you.
And people afraid of us in the wrong way. They afraid of us in the point that they shoot us. If people are really afraid of you, they leave you alone. You see a pit bull, you walk the other way. I ain't man. There's enough fear of me and that pit bull. I ain't going nowhere near that fence. That pit bull can be in the fence and you still cross on the other side of the street. Because there's a small thought in your head, maybe he might jump it, you know. He might get out of that fence. See, that's real bona fide fear right there. He is on the other side of the gate and you still walk on the other side of the street. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And Yahweh shall make you plenteous in goods, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers to give you. Yahweh shall open unto you his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto your land in his season, and to bless all the work of your hand. And you shall lend unto many nations, and you shall not borrow.
Man, everything we get, we got to borrow some money. They say you should not even, we ain't supposed to have to borrow money. If we did what we were supposed to do. Now we got to borrow from people to the point where our name get bad. Now we got to, I want to get some, I'm going to put it in my mama name. What? Kids got bad credit before they get to middle school. Because we got to borrow everything. That's a part of not walking in the culture. That's a punishment. We have gotten so accustomed to the punishments that we think that's normal. That's what happened when people get institutionalized. When they be in jail so long that they think that's regular. That they get out of jail and they be waiting for the bell to ring. Bro, ain't no bell to tell you to go to bed. And you find some people who are in the military. They be in the military so long they be waiting for certain things. Hey, bro, ain't nobody here to tell you to go to bed. Ain't nobody here to tell you to get up. Ain't nobody here to tell you those things. You got to know when it's time for you to do that. But once you get institutionalized, you've gotten so accustomed to those things. We've gotten accustomed to bad things and we think it's normal. That's why we'll still shop in a place that say, no refund, no exchange, you buy, you go. And we'll still show up next week. Hey, Mr. Yang, y'all got that blue one in the back? He just said you buy, you go. Why you come back? That don't happen on other sides of town. They got one time to tell them people that on the other side of town. That place will be shut down in 3 months. They will never go back in there again. If you even put in other parts of town, say no refund and no exchange, none of them people shop there. We are the only ones who go and shop in places who tell you you cannot refund and you cannot make an exchange. Nobody else shops in those places. Just us. Go ahead, bro.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 13. And Yahweh shall make you the head and not the tail, and you shall be above only, and you shall not be beneath, if that you hearken unto the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim.
There go that if again. Go ahead.
which I command you this day, to observe and to do them. And you shall not go aside from any of the words which I command you this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them.
Right. And we know that these so-called holidays that we have been given, those are all festivals for other gods. So those were the conditional blessings. The rest of this goes through the punishments and the curses that we're going to endure. And we're not going to even go through all of them. We're going to go through certain ones. Read verses 15 through 18.
But it shall come to pass, if you will not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you.
Right. We always having these forums. All of our educated people, all of our black leaders are getting together to try to figure out what can we do to help black people. Now these preachers, and now one of them come up with the thought, hey, maybe we should keep the commandment. What? No, that don't make no sense. Next. Who else got something? You're a preacher. It didn't dawn on you that maybe we should keep the commandments? Yet they keep having these black forums and everybody got to talk about what they think. You know, black people need to come together. We need to do all of these things. We should keep those things that we got hanging on the living room wall. And one of them said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Yet we went to church on Sunday for 30 years. And looking at it every Sunday. It's commandment. You ever read that fourth one? Go ahead.
Verse 16. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your store.
So now here go your financial problems. See? This is why everybody want to offer you a financial blessing if you give a seed offering. Go ahead.
Cursed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your land, the increase of your kind, and the flocks of your sheep.
All right, jump to verse 25.
Yahweh shall cause you to be smitten before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
It was prophesied that the children of Israel was going to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. So you backtrack into these people who say they are Jewish, yet they come out of one place, Germany. All right, well, somebody lying. Yahweh said the children of Israel should be coming out. Do you know that it is more of our people in South America than it is here? I just got through dealing with some folks. I looked at their name on paper, and I thought I was going to run into some Spanish people. And then I got there, and it looked like Pookie Johnson. I was like, wow. Them like, I mean, they look like me, but they was like, I said, whoa, I was not ready for that. Our people are everywhere. And I tell people, look at the Olympics, you'll see. People look just like you. Only difference is what stop they got off on the boat. That's it. But you can look and see you, and you know you can look at you and look at an Ethiopian and know y'all ain't the same people. You can tell the difference between you and other people. And when you look at a dude and you know like he look like he's supposed to live down the street. But his name like Guadalupe. You're like, Guadalupe? That's Pookie Lupe. That is not no Guadalupe. Go ahead. Go to verse 26.
And your carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air.
Right. And after that, this is a European form of punishment. Even when they put the Messiah on the cross, the torture stake, what did they do? Leave him there. So part of Roman punishment, when they hung us on them trees, what did they do? Leave us there. See, that was a message to anybody else who would try and come against them. This was a warning. So that being left there is a systematic thing that happens. You ever ask yourself, with all the money that the police department have, you never ask yourself, why can't they buy bigger sheets? Y'all ever notice when it's a dead body, the whole body is never covered up? Anybody ever notice that? See, when you have to drive by a few dead legs, you'll notice that. So they got to go by themselves. Hey, man, why the dead leg hanging out? You mean tell me y'all got tanks But y'all ain't got no sheets to cover up this whole body. They leave the body. Think about what happened in Missouri. Think about what aggravated the people. What made the people want to riot? They leave the body there, saying that they doing an investigation. They leave it sitting there, and the people get more and more angry. It's happening for a reason. See, they're trying to draw us into a conflict. The guy who went to the church and shot all the people, what did he say? He's trying to start a race riot. We just didn't bite. See, we think this stuff is just happening. No, 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 no. They baiting you. It ain't but so many times that somebody gonna hit you before you hit back. And you can be the most peaceful person in the world. You ain't finna just stand there and keep letting somebody slap you. People said, turn the other cheek. I'm gonna turn it when I turn around and kick him. So we gonna have peace after you learn how to put your hands in your pocket. See? We can't have peace while you still hitting me. How we gonna have peace while you still hitting me? That ain't no peace. Once you stop hitting me, we can have peace. But you got to learn where your hand's supposed to be, and that's not upside my head. Go ahead, bro.
And unto the beast of the earth, and no man shall fray them away.
No man shall fray them away. The Billie Holiday song was the strange fruit that hung from trees. See, these are these things that our people, our kids are not really being taught these things in school for a reason. See, other people don't want to divulge what actual atrocities were committed. I actually was in school and remember somebody saying, you know, slavery wasn't that bad. And it was a white guy who said it. And it was a couple of black dudes that had to keep some black people from tearing his head off when he said it. But he actually believed in his own mind because of the things that he was taught, the way in which it was taught. He was taught that it wasn't really that bad of an issue. We just making a big deal out of it. So there's certain things, if you don't teach your kids, they're not going to know. Jump to verse 30.
You shall betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. You shall build an house, and you shall not dwell therein. You shall plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof.
When you're talking about a man being engaged to marry a woman, understand that they wanted to have the biggest slave, the biggest and strongest slave possible. So whether a man was married to a woman or not, he was then, that woman was put with another man if they were going to make a better slave. And we all know the rest of it. If the slave master wanted, he could not be prosecuted for whatever he did. So as you read all of these things, you have to then ask yourself, well, all of the people who said that they endured the Holocaust, why they can't present any of this stuff? And they can't present any of it. And that's a problem. But the whole world walking around talking about the Jews have returned home. Jump to verse 32.
Your sons and your daughters shall be given unto another people, and your eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in your hand. Families
were split up during this slave trade. Family, mother goes one way, father goes one way, and the children goes a different place. And there wasn't any thought whatsoever had about doing those things. Go ahead.
The fruit of your land and all your labors shall a nation which you know not eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always.
All right, brother, read the note there, because our people seem to think that, you know, with the things that we've accomplished, that, you know, it's certain things that we're going to be exempt from. But we have to really understand the nature of something so that we really understand what it does. Read that note.
U.S.-Mexican-American War of 1846 through 1848.
Mm-hmm.
The Mexican-American War marked the first U.S. armed conflict chiefly fought on foreign soil. It pitted a politically divided and militarily unprepared Mexico against the expansionist-minded Mexican against the expansionist-minded administration of U.S. President James K. Polk, who believed the United States had a manifest destiny.
Now, you remember hearing that in school? Manifest destiny? See, that's a classic example of that wordage. See? In the hood, that would have been called, he just won't steal stuff. Manifest that. This is how they cover up their desire to get other people's stuff. Say, I got a manifest. Imagine catching the dude in your living room. He said, man, I had a manifest destiny to get your television. What? How you have a manifest destiny for my television? Your television was destined to be in my living room. What? So they have a manifest destiny to take other people's stuff. Look at this note. This guy is the ambassador for Mexico to the United States. And he says, here is one wall Mexicans would pay for along the original Mexico-U.S. border. Do you see how many of those things actually belong to Mexico? The whole other half of the United States, they stole. Now, the stuff that we're reading, this comes from the History Channel. So understand, this comes from them talking about them. Do you understand? These are not my words right here. So we're going to read this, and I want you to look at this map. All right, everything that's in green, that's Mexico. So there's a reason why it's called Los Angeles. Y'all do know that's Spanish, right? I just telling people like, man, I got to go to L.A. You do know that's Spanish, right? There's a reason why there's a place out there called New Mexico. Why would you have a New Mexico in the United States? Why do they have a New United States? Why do they have a New Mexico in the United States? Go ahead, brother.
To spread across the continent to the Pacific Ocean.
Right. So they had a manifest destiny. All right. It was their destiny to go and steal other people's land. Go ahead.
A border skirmish along the Rio Grande started off the fighting and was followed by a series of U.S. victories. When the dust cleared, Mexico had lost about 1/3 of its territory, including nearly all of the present-day California, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico.
Yeah. Now, they gonna tell you how they got into the thing. Go to the next one.
Texas gained its independence from Mexico in 1836.
Now, there's a reason why even today, if you think about it, the one state that you will constantly hear about seceding from the United States is Texas. Why? Because it already pulled out of Mexico once before. So they already think, hey, we bad. We already pulled out of the country before. So Texas is constantly talking about pulling away from the Union because they've done it already. Go ahead.
Initially, the United States declined to incorporate it into the Union, largely because northern political interests were against the addition of a new slave state. The Mexican government was also encouraging border raids and warning that any attempt at any annexation would lead to war. Texas constantly talks of removing itself from America because it has survived the departure from a nation before.
Now, consider this now. So, they're going to throw out the immigrants, but do understand that some of those people are stuck here because they was already in Mexico when they stole it. So you got to look at the irony of that. Wait a minute. So you throwing people out, but they were already here when you took it, and now they got ancestors who have continued to be here, and now you throwing out people that just never moved. And if this is your policy, they have and we don't have to deal with that, so we don't understand how foul it is, but they have a police force called ICE, the immigration police. Oh my God, they are off the chain. There are American citizens that get caught by ICE, and they have like different, they don't even have like regular courtrooms. Their courtrooms be like in the bottom of buildings. They're like, they might be locked up in one of the buildings downtown and none of us will know it. the way they get to operate, because they're so-called operating with people who are immigrants. You get caught up in that, you in some deep trouble, because the normal process, the due process, does not apply. Go ahead.
Nonetheless, annexation procedures were quickly initiated after the 1844 election of Polk, who campaigned that Texas should be re-annexed and that the Oregon territory should be reoccupied. Polk also had his eyes on California, New Mexico, and the rest of what is today the U.S. Southwest. When his offer to purchase those lands was rejected...
Now listen, see, you got to pay attention now. This is what they do. Now, and they'll do this same thing today. They call it eminent domain. All right? They'll first offer to buy your property. All right? And they say, how you going to reject our offer? We was kind to offer you $25 for that $200 house. What? Okay, so they made an offer to purchase all that stuff they stole. Go ahead.
He instigated a fight by moving troops into a disputed zone between the Rio Grande and Nueces River that both countries had previously recognized as part of the Mexican state of Coahuila.
Now, they offered to buy the land. The Mexicans said no. Then they started a fight. This is the History Channel. This how they got all of that land over there. They asked the people to sell it. The people said no. They started a fight. Now, this is a president that did this, okay? And then all the country followed suit. So don't think, people keep thinking, well, you know, Trump ain't gonna be able to do such and such. You really don't know your history. I wouldn't put anything past none of these people. When you just go and you just start a fight just so you can take somebody's land, and it's a president. Go to the next one.
Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ends the Mexican-American War guerrilla attacks against U.S. Supply lines continued, but for all intents and purpose, the war had ended. Santa Anna resigned, and the United States waited for a new government capable of negotiations to form.
They waited for a new government so that they can make negotiations, so then it would be on paper that it belonged to them. Go ahead.
Finally, on February 2nd, 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed, establishing the Rio Grande,
the bottom of Texas, go ahead,
and not the Nueces River, as the U.S.-Mexican border. Under the treaty, Mexico also recognized the U.S. annexation of Texas and agreed to sell California and the rest of its territories north of the Rio Grande for $15 million plus the assumption of certain damages claims.
So, when they offer you to buy something, understand that a bullet come after that. They gonna offer you a price. At the end, you're gonna take that price. Matter of fact, the price probably went down. So when we start talking about the things that we're going to go through and the things that we have gone through, our people don't think it's serious because we don't take into consideration all the things that have happened before. We think we done made it, so this stuff is not, we're not going to have to deal with this again. Yet, the law that was just passed in Missouri is back to Jim Crow status. These were like the Jim Crow laws that was set in the South. They are returning back to the same thing. Go to the well, I'll do this one. We also had, when you deal with this next thing, because you know people say, okay, he just made a thing to start a war. Remember, there was a whole war done about so-called weapons of mass destruction. After it was done, they never found any weapons of mass destruction. But you know what they did do? They built the oil pipeline. And everybody still goes on business as usual, right? So they made an excuse to invade somebody so that they can get what those people had. This is still, they haven't changed the way they operate. This is the same thing that was done. So there's a reason why I wanted to read the first part. So people say, oh man, that was 1780. Yeah. Well, how many years ago was weapons of mass destruction? How many years ago was that? See? And they still haven't found a weapon of mass destruction. Now, you know who does have weapons of mass destruction? Korea. Now, why we ain't went over there? Go ahead. Nobody want to start a fight with a crazy dude. Nobody want to fight the crazy. You want to fight the same dude with the glasses and the pocket protector. You do not want to fight the dude who over there just talking to himself. They absolutely loco. Go start that fight. They don't want to fight them. He'll kill everybody. Now why they ain't running over there fighting him? Go ahead, you bad. Go on over there. Right. If he get 5 seconds warning, half the planet gonna disappear. He'll press every button he got. Send them all. He don't even care where they go. Shoot our friends. But they are friends. Shoot them too. They should have told us. They didn't know. How you gonna kill people who didn't know? He don't care. They don't care. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah 11, and let's read verses 10 through 12.
Verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt.
Now, these are all of these places where the children of Israel are going to have to be recovered from. And when you read this list, what you're going to find that you don't see Germany in here. Yet they claim they got all of Israel from one place. Go ahead.
And from Pathros and from Cush.
Cush. They have true Jews stuck in Ethiopia, and they are called Phalasha. And matter of fact, when you see them, you can tell that they look a little different than the other ones. And if you ask them if they are Phalasha, they may not answer if other Ethiopians are around, because that's a derogatory term. That is something that they suffer greatly. So they have to hide among those people. The same thing that happens with our people. We used to go have a guy that was from Nigeria, and he was part of Igbos. He knew he was a Hebrew. And he said point blank, he had an African friend who told him, you know, I like you, but I hate the Hebrews. They know these are black people in Africa who know that they are Hebrews, and the Africans know that they are Hebrews. So they cut their facial hair, because most of the Africans don't have facial hair. They cut their facial hair to try to blend in with other Africans. Same thing we do here. So we can blend in with other people. Go ahead.
And from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea.
Shinar is Babylon. Then you have, of course, the islands of the sea. And there used to be a point that you went to those islands and all you seen is us. But let me tell you, other people have come in and taken over those islands now. Let's go to chapter 47, Isaiah. Isaiah 47, and let's read verses 1 through 15.
Verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal. Uncover your locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers.
All right, so come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. When you deal with this daughter of Babylon, she mixed wars and never has had to really deal with anything on her soil. So when you talk about that other one, this is why it says the first conflict fought on their soil. Normally America goes to other places and mess up those people's stuff. You know, they don't really have to deal with any of the things here. So, and then even when you deal with the things that they fought here, that was against their own people for independence. And then when you deal with the old daughter of the Chaldeans, now you're dealing with the astrologers. These Chaldeans were astrologers. So when you deal with all of the monthly prognosticators that we have here and the way they operate, everything is about horoscope and all of that. Who was that? Ronald Reagan, that had a personal psychic, Gene Dixon. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't even make governmental decisions unless he talked to his psychic first. See, we don't even know that we under that kind of stuff. You got a president that won't make a decision until he talk to his psychic. Should we bomb such and such? Wait a minute. Let me ask Mother Margaret. What? She got to read my palm and let me know if we can fight. Are you kidding me? And this is what people voted for. See? Go ahead.
Verse 3. Your nakedness shall be uncovered. Yes, your shame shall be seen. I'll take vengeance, and I'll not meet you as a man. As for our Redeemer, Yahweh of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit you silent and get you into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms.
It was a reason why that gift was given. This Lady of Liberty was given to America. What people don't talk about is the chains that's on the foot. What they don't talk about is this crown of stars. It's a lot of symbolism that's in that Lady Liberty that people won't really discuss. Go ahead.
I was angry with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance.
Okay, who was angry with us?
Yahweh.
When you go to one of them televangelists, they said God ain't angry with you. He said I was angry with you. I did this. So stop blaming other people for what I did to you. Go ahead.
And given them into your hand. You did show them no mercy. Upon the ancient have you very heavily laid your yoke. And you said, I shall be a lady forever, so that you did not lay these things to your heart, neither did remember the latter end of it.
Right. What I said earlier. Success makes you think that you can never lose. So because of the current success, they don't believe that they can possibly lose. It's like that thing, man. If you was a Tupac fan, when he got shot the second time, you automatically thought he was gonna live through that second one. You know what I'm saying? Cause that first one set you up. Man, he got shot 5 times, bro. This little bullet ain't gonna stop him. Right. That second time, there's a few of us just sitting there just looking twisted. Because in your mind, you set up from the first one that you think he gonna automatically make it through the second one. Not so. Sometimes success sets you up for a bigger failure. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Therefore hear now this, you that are given to pleasures, that dwelleth carelessly, that says in your heart, I am, and none else beside me.
Right, and we done heard that thing. God bless America and no place else. Go ahead.
I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to you in a moment, in one day.
In one day. You're going to get both of those in one day. Right. See? Winning, and loss double time. Go ahead.
The loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon you in their perfection for the multitude of your sorceries, and for the great abundance of your enchantments. For you have trusted in your wickedness. You have said, none sees me. Your wisdom and your knowledge, it has perverted you. And you have said in your heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon you. You shall not know from whence it rise. And mischief shall fall upon you. You shall not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon you suddenly, which you shall not know.
Suddenly, and we know that if something has to happen in today's climate, it's going to have to be a sudden situation. Because if they know it's coming, it's going to be a whole lot of problems. Go ahead.
Stand now with your enchantments and with your multitude of your sorceries, wherein you have labored from your youth. If so be, you shall be able to profit. If so be, you may prevail. You are wearied in the multitude of your counsels. Let now the astrologers and the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators, stand up and save you from these things that shall come upon you. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto you with whom you have labored, even your merchants from your youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter, none shall save you.
They shall wander every one to his quarter, meaning that the people are going to go back to the places where they are from. America is called this great melting pot. All of these people are from somewhere else. But if you start having that immigration debate and start saying that, you know, hey, we're all immigrants, oh boy, they shut that down quick. They said they ain't no immigrants. Even though they from Europe, they from somewhere else, they don't consider themselves as being immigrants. But when you get right down to it, when Yahweh orders peace on earth, everybody have to go back to where they come from. You can't have peace, real peace, in somebody else's house. There ain't but so much peace you can have in somebody else's house. Even if they let you sleep on their sofa, still ain't your sofa. Don't no toilet feel like your toilet. I don't care what nobody tell you. There's a certain comfort, boy, when you sit on your toilet. You're like, nah, man, I'm gonna hold this till I get to the house. Boy, I can't wait till I get to the house. Boy, I get to the house. I gotta get to my house. Ain't there like mine. See? You can't have peace in somebody else's house. Everyone gonna wander to his quarter. Let's go to Jeremiah 30.
Next book over.
Back or forth. Yeah,
back.
I got it. Jeremiah 30, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Thus speak Yahweh Elohim of Israel, saying, Write you all the words that I have spoken unto you in a book. For, lo, the days come, says Yahweh, that I'll bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Yehudah, says Yahweh.
Bring again means cause to cease. Go ahead.
And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it.
So, redemption for Israel is going back to the land that was given unto their fathers. So, this heaven thing is something that's out of the mind of the Euro-Gentiles who worshipped other gods before. Because Israel's redemption is going back to our land. That's real peace. They'll even tell you that real prosperity is what? What did they tell you? Land ownership. And we see there's no real land ownership here because all they got to do is say they're going to buy it. And otherwise, after that, they take it from you. But when you read the law of Yahweh, the land stays in the family. The land don't leave the family. So when we get in our land, once that land is established, 300 years later, they can come to that same house and they're going to see one of your relatives. Now, how many relatives we done had that have had houses and lost the house? The house paid for, they still lost it. That ain't going to happen in their land. Once it's in your family, it's going to stay in your family forever. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Yehudah. For thus says Yahweh, We have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask you now, and see whether a man does travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness.
Nowadays, every man's hands on his loins because he got to hold his britches up. Go ahead.
Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, says Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off your neck, and will burst your bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him.
Right. I will break his yoke from off your neck. Go ahead.
But they shall serve Yahweh their Elohim, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them.
So now we're talking about a future thing. We're talking about the Messiah was called the son of David, the son of David. So now he's saying, I'm going to raise up David, their king. I'm going to raise up unto them, and they're going to have this righteous governmental system set up. So the redemption for the children of Israel was never going to heaven. That was never our end game. When you read in the New Testament, they asked the Messiah, they said, will you at this time set up, this governmental system? Are you going to remove the heathen from us? He says, not for you to know the times and the seasons which the Adonai has reserved unto himself. They ain't never think they were going to heaven. You read and talk about the situation with Lazarus and Martha. The Messiah told her, your brother shall rise again. She said, I know he's going to rise again at the last day. Wait a minute. She said, I know he's going to rise again at the last day. They tell you he in heaven right now looking at you. Martha said, no, I don't think he's going to know heaven. I know I'm going to see him in the resurrection when everybody is resurrected. The way things are taught now, there's a personal resurrection for each individual instead of a thing done for everybody. See, that's that I'm really, I'm going to exalt myself. See, that I got my own personal thing going. So ain't nobody else got nothing, just you. Interesting. Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 10. Therefore fear you not, O my servant Yaakov, says Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for, lo, I will save you from afar, and your seed from the land of their captivity, and Yaakov shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with you, says Yahweh, to save you, though I make a full end of all nations whether I have scattered you. Yet will I not make a full end of you, but I will correct you in measure, and will not leave you altogether unpunished.
Right. I'm going to punish those nations where you ended up because I took away the hedge and allowed you to be punished. But after that's done, I'm going to punish them. But I will not leave you altogether unpunished, because this is a part of your punishment as well. Go ahead.
For thus saith Yahweh, your bruise is incurable, and your wound is grievous. There is none to plead your cause, that you may be bound up. You have no healing medicines. All your lovers have forgotten you. They seek you not. For I have wounded you with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of your lawlessness, because your sins were increased. Why crieth you for your affliction? Your sorrow is incurable for the multitude of your lawlessness, because your sins were increased. I have done these things unto you.
You start seeing certain things go hand in hand. You see iniquity, which is lawlessness, and then you see sins. Sin is the transgression of the law. So when people try to tell you that there is no law, well, if there's no law, then there can't be sin, because sin is the transgression of the law. And we can read that very thing in the New Testament. So there cannot be still sin if there's no law. It doesn't make any sense. The same people talking about there ain't no law. That law is done away with. Let somebody take some of theirs. The first thing they do is call the police, call 911. What you calling the police for? I thought you said there wasn't no law. Yeah, but he stole my stuff. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Therefore all they that devour you shall be devoured, and all your adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil you shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon you will I give for a prey.
Whatever you sow, that shall you reap. The things that you plant, that's what's going to grow. But see, because it takes a time for those things to happen, people don't consider what the end result of their deeds are. So you had all of these things that the Egyptians put upon the children of Israel. Now, Pharaoh was the one that was in charge of that, but all the other people benefited. So when judgment came, all of them had to deal with it. To this day, Egypt is nothing but a place that people go to see some pyramids. When Yahweh knocks something down, he knock it down. People still trying to figure out, man, how all this great stuff was in a bunch of sand. When Yahweh knock it down, it get knocked down. But he leave the stuff standing there so everybody can know what used to be here. They used to rule. And every other kingdom is based off the Egyptian kingdom. To this day, how they formulated America is based on Egypt. There's a reason why you got the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. There's a reason all that stuff come out of Egypt. There's a reason why we got a pyramid on the back of the dollar with the all-seeing eye of Horus, which is an Egyptian god. They built it. That's Masonic dictates that it's set up worshiping Egypt again. Because once they see something work and that those people were able to rule the earth, they want to mimic it because they want to rule the earth too. Go ahead.
Verse 17. For I will restore health unto you, and I will heal you of your wounds, says Yahweh, because they called you an outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeks after. Thus says Yahweh, Behold, I will bring again the captivity of Yaakov's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places. And the city shall be built upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving and the voice of them that make merry. And I'll multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small.
They shall not be few. You will not be a minority. Go ahead.
Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I'll punish all that oppress them. And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governors shall proceed from the midst of them.
Right. This is how you have a righteous governmental system within a place when the leaders come from the same people. See, Obama let us know that he wasn't the same as us. He said it point blank. He said, my people are not the descendant of slaves. My wife's people were. People didn't catch it. Oh, no. I was never a slave. I'm not Negro. She Negro. Hey, he told you straight up. And we didn't catch it. We too happy. Black man, the president. We dancing. We out. Right. What law was passed to help us? He mentioned how unfair the prison population was and how there were unjust laws that locked up a lot of our people. Tell me what it did about it. I'll wait. They're going to give y'all a minute. It's going to take a minute. Go ahead. What did he do? Right. But he passed a law for same-sex marriage, though, didn't he? He mentioned that we in prison for these long terms. They ain't doing nothing about it. Go ahead.
And I'll cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engage his heart to approach unto me? Says Yahweh. And you shall be my people, and I'll be your Elohim. Behold, the whirlwind of Yahweh goes forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it.
In the latter days you shall consider it. See, people don't consider anything until it's time for those payments to come due. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 60. See, we don't consider any of those things. That's like people get a charge card. They just keep swiping. They don't consider sooner or later, you know that bill going to show up. And what you going to do when that bill show up? Yahweh got a bill that's going to show up. And it's going to catch some people completely off guard. Because they too busy dancing and having fun. Talking about how God ain't angry. They enjoying the wealth of all the stuff that they've stolen. So when judgment comes for those things, a lot of people going to think it's unfair. Isaiah chapter 16. Let's start that at verse 1.
Arise, shine, for your light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon you. For, behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon you, and his glory shall be seen upon you.
Right, the gross darkness causes people not to be able to truly see this word for what it is. Go ahead.
And the Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Light up your eyes round about, and see, all they gather themselves together, they come to you. Your sons shall come from far, and your daughters shall be nursed at your side.
Your sons shall come from far. Do understand, it says that the children of Israel would be scattered to all over the four corners of the globe. Now Yahweh is talking about going all over the globe and returning all those people back to the Holy Land. And people can't figure out why they want to visit Israel. I just want to go to Israel. Right. Go ahead.
Then you shall see and flow together, and your heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto you. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto you.
Right. So all that time, this is how Yahweh does righteous judgment. All that time, people go all over doing all this dirt, going over, stealing all this stuff, and then Yahweh gonna make them get us. Go ahead.
The multitude of camels shall cover you, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. All they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the praises of Yahweh.
But didn't Yahweh do that the first time? He told them coming out of Egypt, borrow you silver and gold from the Egyptians. On your way out, borrow this stuff. And y'all know how we borrow. Anytime one of us borrow, you got to just look at whatever it is. I may never see you again. Here you go, bro. Here you go. But this gonna be just like that. This finna be black bar. We finna black bar again, Jack. And we ain't paying back. And I don't want none of that money. That money ain't worth the paper it's printed on. Gold and silver. There's a reason why. You can trade that for anything. That dollar ain't worth poop. I don't want that. And what I'm gonna do with it going out of here anyway? No, I need something I can trade anywhere. Go ahead.
Verse 7. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto you. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto you. They shall come up with acceptance unto mine altar, and I'll glorify the house of my glory. Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the doves of their windows, as the doves to their windows? Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring your sons from far.
The ships of Tarshish first, to bring your sons from afar. Do you understand that Tarshish is Spain? You were called by a Spanish name called Negro. So the same ones that brought you here is the same ships that's got to take you back. Negro is just a Spanish word for black. That's it. And they knew that sooner or later we were going to figure that out. So they needed to give us, all right, well, give them African American, then maybe they'll stop looking. Threw me off one day. I went in a liquor store and saw a beer called, what is it?
Modelo Negro.
Modelo Negro. I said, wait a minute now, wait a minute. They got Negro beer up in there. Wait a minute. I said, we about to get it on up in there. So I had to go and do my research before I made a fool of myself up in there. I'm trying to figure out why they got Negro beer up in there. You got Negro beer up in there? What kind of racist place is this? That's just black. It's just, and when you look at it, the beer is dark beer. It's like that Guinness. You know, it's dark beer. So, and that's why they call it, you know, negra. I'm like, no, this just look like we ought to fight up in here. Because I wasn't sure what that was. But it's the same thing. That's how we get this Spanish term, Negro. You have to ask yourself, how you be black and called by a Spanish name? Most of us ain't never been nowhere near Spain. Right. Go ahead.
Their silver and their gold with them. Onto the name of Yahweh your Elohim.
So if somebody try to give you reparations in them dollars, you get it back. Alright? They keep talking about, here go your reparation, get that back. No, I don't want no money. I want silver and gold. I want commodities. I want stuff I can trade. You take this money back. The money only matter while you here. Leaving out of here, that money not going to do you no good. Go ahead.
And to the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified you. Verse 10. And the sons of the strangers shall build up your walls, and their kings shall minister unto you. For in my anger I smote you, but in my favor have I had mercy on you.
See, there's certain things there. In my anger I smote you, but in my favor I'm going to have mercy on you. And the sons of the strangers shall build up your walls. So now other people are going to have to work for you. So you've done your labor. It would be a shame for us to go through all of this and still not take advantage of all the things that we have coming unto us. We have already suffered for a great deal. Why would we turn around and lose that right toward the end? Go ahead.
Therefore your gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring on to you the forces of the Gentiles.
Right, and the forces of their wealth. All of these things that they have gathered. When you go back and look at the things in history, they invaded Jerusalem. They came and took all of the stuff out during one of the captivities. And when it was time to go back in the land, Yahweh had them return the stuff. He just used them to hold your stuff. So they think they got it. They're going to return all that stuff. Most of our stuff in the Vatican right now. They know where everything at. And when it's time, Yahweh going to tell them, oh, by the way, go get them back their stuff. They think they took something. Yahweh going to make them give every last bit of it back. Go ahead.
And that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve you shall perish. Yes, those nations shall be utterly wasted. The glory of Lebanon shall come on to you, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary.
Right. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto you, the fir tree, the pine tree, the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. Understand, the land ain't even going to look like it look now. See, the land don't look the way it's supposed to look because you're not there. Go ahead.
And I'll make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted you shall come bending unto you.
Pay attention. The sons, see, this is how things go from generation to generation. The sons of them that afflicted you, not them. The sons of them who afflicted you shall come bending unto you. Because understand, they were taught certain things, so they carried on the way their folks told them. Then they're going to find out who you are as a people, and they're going to have to change their ways. Go ahead.
And all they that despise you shall bow themselves down at the soles of your feet, and they shall call you the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas you have been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through you. I will make you an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations.
All right, let's go to Micah chapter 4. Micah chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 1.
9:48.
Micah chapter 4. And let's start at verse 1.
But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow onto it. And many nations shall come and say, come, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh.
Many nations shall come and say, let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh. Go ahead.
And to the house of the Elohim of Yaakov. And he will teach us of his ways.
He will teach us. I mean, you got to teach these people your culture. How you going to teach them if you don't know it? Go ahead.
And we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth out the forth of Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem.
So the children of Israel didn't have to teach the rest of the nations how to walk in his holy law. Go ahead.
And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
So now we're talking about this peaceful time that is going to be set in place. But there's some things that have to happen before we can get to that point. Go ahead.
But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree.
Once again, every man back in his own house. If he's under his vine and under his fig tree, he's back in the land that was given unto his people. Yahweh did not make it your destiny to live constantly forever as a second-class citizen in somebody else's land. This is not your destiny. Go ahead.
And none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of Yahweh of hosts has spoken it. For all people will walk, everyone in the name of his Elohim, or in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of Yahweh our Elohim forever and ever. In that day, says Yahweh, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. And I'll make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. And Yahweh will reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth even forever.
Right. When you go and read the Valley of the Dry Bones, you know, and we've heard many so-called preachers talk about the Valley of the Dry Bones, but they always stop early. You keep reading the Valley of the Dry Bones and you find out it's talking about raising up Israel and sending them back to Israel. They ain't talking about going to heaven. So this whole doctrine, our people never thought of the doctrine the way that we deal with it now. But once you go to other people's schools and you get indoctrinated into their way of thinking, then you deal with it in the context that they give it to you in. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 8. And you, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto you shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Now why does you cry out aloud? Is there no king in you? Is your counselor perished? For pangs have taken you as a woman in travail. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shall you go forth out of the city, and you shall dwell in the field, and you shall go even to Babylon. There shall you be delivered. There Yahweh shall redeem you from the hand of your enemies. Now also many nations are gathered against you, that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion.
Right. Do understand that just as Israel had to be gathered and undergo a process to get back into that land, the same thing has to happen once again. And these nations are getting ready to cast us out of here. All this stuff that you're seeing, this is always, if you go back, it is always the same thing right before this mass race riot. It is the news stories are all inflammatory. Everything is made to look like all of the problems are you, and then out of nowhere it starts off. And if you look up as you're riding down the street, look at some of those billboard signs and find out how many little gun fairs that they're having. If you want to see something interesting, go to one. Me and Kish went to one. Me, Kish, Eliel. They went there and bought their little 9mm. It was toy gun when we got there. They had a little toy gun. They were buying that. They had that little stuff go pow. Them people had stuff go. I was like, good God, what is that? They had some stuff. I almost blinded myself, and I was about to grab some of them night vision goggles. And man, don't do that. You gonna go blind with night vision goggles with lights on. We sitting there looking at stuff we ain't never seen before. They getting the little stuff they putting in a bag. They loading up trucks. I like, do they have some kind of war they about to fight? Yes, they do. Against you. Because they are loading up, Jack. I ain't never seen these many weapons in my life. And they buying it like it's going out of style. stocking up, stocking up, stocking up. Yahweh says if you go against the enemy who oppresses you in your land, you have to understand something. This ain't our land. This is the place of our punishment. We got a better land than this. But when you think that this is all you got, you ready to fight for something that ain't yours. You got something better than this. I know this look like this is the best thing ever. You got something better than this. Go ahead, brother. Let's finish this up.
Verse 12. But they know not the thoughts of Yahweh, neither understand they his counsel. For he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I'll make your horn iron, and I'll make your hoofs brass, and you shall beat in pieces many people, and I'll consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the Adonai of the whole earth.
So let us consider these things, that it always has to get worse before it gets better. But that whole pie in the sky lie that we were given before, those things were given unto us to pacify us and make us look for something that's never going to happen in this life, in the life that we know. But when we talk about the redemption of the children of Israel and being brought out of captivity, we're talking about some changes that are going to have to happen over the whole earth, not just here in America. But this is the place where it gets started. This is the place where it jumps off. So let us approach unto Yahweh with a pure heart, that we may be able to learn this culture. When you talk about leaving out of this place, it's not going to be our decision. They're going to push. Do understand, we hear about those things about Marcus Garvey and how he talked about people, black people, going back to Africa, and they was talking about Liberia, right? Do understand that wasn't his idea. Those were the American presidents that came up with sending us back to Liberia. That was not his idea. They have already been talking about from get-go sending us out of here. And that was on the presidential level that they were having this conversation. That conversation ain't stopped. You just hadn't been in the circles where it's been going on. And as we read in this book, it says Moab, which are the people calling themselves the Palestinians, it says, hide my people Israel with you. You have to understand, if we got to go through these other lands, it says we will be asking the way to Zion. Now, if we got to go through these other lands, understand, you're going to have to walk through those people's land and culture. You can't walk through some Muslim land with your hair out and your tight jeans on. You might die right there. You can't walk through them people's land disrespecting their culture, because they expect you to have the same culture, because they're like, wait a minute, y'all supposed to have the same culture we have. Why y'all look like that? So let us consider these things, because our redemption is nearer than we think. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.